And then my first year, or not my first year, I guess it was my third year in 2000, we had a lightning strike on Mother's Day that occurred out east of Cowboy Camp. And we knew there was a lightning strike out here that night. And the next day we got a call on it, and he said, there's a fire out there. By the time we got out here, it was about 2,000 acres and just racing to the south. Ended up burning into Northport, damaged some houses, burned across the interstate, and then eventually switched directions and started burning this way. That was right around the time this bathroom facility was built.
Yep.
And our job was to save that bathroom. We made it sound like we were saving babies, but our job was to save that bathroom, and we did. But it took 3 weeks. So it was about 6,000 acre fire. It took us 3 weeks to fully contain it, and it was an absolute mess out here from our plow lines and just the destruction we caused trying to put it out. But at that time, the fire behavior and fire activity was just ripping through here because there hadn't been much prescribed fire out here. At the time, it was Natural Resource Division with these prescribed burns. So then in 2001, in April 16th, he was doing one kind of in the same area where the wildfire the year before was, and it was a period of prolonged drought, and the fire got away from him, and ended up burning a similar pattern, but burning south, jumped the power line, jumped the canal in Northport, burned into Northport, burned one house down, burned a bunch of cars and boats and outbuildings, damaged a bunch of things, ended up shutting the interstate down on and off for about a week and a half. Caused a big fiasco. It was a big deal. And the way the local government responded was the city of Northport put a burn ban on, said we were not going to allow any more burning within the city of Northport. Sarasota County Board of County Commissioners followed suit, said the same thing. We're not going to allow any kind of outdoor burning anymore in Sarasota County. That was their just immediate reaction to what happened. 2 people in charge of the operations of it. So there's 2 of us that are in charge of actually pulling the authorization to burn. We're the ones that actually make the decision if we're going to burn that day or not. We work in conjunction with the site manager, which for out here obviously is Meghan. So she approves our plan, and we meet. Obviously we have a 3-year plan and we have a 1-year plan. So we coordinate very closely about what we're going to do and the timing of it. But it's up to us about the exact day we do it and if we actually end up burning or not. And we make the decisions on how we're going to do it and that kind of thing. So that's two sheds, pole barns. They were just way too close to the vegetation. We just didn't protect them the way we could.
But we also had pretty much 20 years of gasoline spills.
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah.
and gasoline powered equipment, so
Yeah.
it's not your fault.
No, I didn't like to see it, but it was just such a fast-moving fire. As Megan can tell you, she was here with us. I actually have the video, and I can't bring it up.
It was the last truck, and we still had to drive this bit. I was like, drive fast.
I got video looking, just taking just on the other side of the cabin. You got the cabin in the foreground, and then looking back at the fire coming at us, and it was coming. I mean, there was no. We knew we weren't going to be able to stop it. We tried to light a little fire there to try to slow it down, just of us not being aggressive. Because we knew it was such a fast-moving fire, we didn't want to put people in front of it. We really just wanted to try to slow it down and contain it. So we did a burn-off of it. We actually lit fire along the border road, or the border trail, and then we allowed it to burn into a previous area that we burned, I think the previous February. So a few months earlier, we had burned just to the north of it along the power line. So we knew we kind of had it pinched. So it was one we were able to manage pretty well. So it was big. I think it was 700 acres, but it was one we didn't have to put any plow lines in at all. We didn't really have to do any suppression of it, except for the pole barn, which was burned up enough we didn't have to put any water on it anyway. It was burned to the ground. So, it was one that we really didn't try to get stuff in place, I guess, for the next gen.
Yeah.
And, kind of how many people are going to respond to brush fires, what units would go to certain brush fires, that kind of thing. So I'm working on all of that right now. So that's the big things.
So you have just a core group that specifically does.
There's 2.
Just 2.
Yeah, there's me and one other guy. And then,
Wow.
like I said, we get a lot of assistance from
Wow.
Parks and Rec, PRNR.
Yeah.
I lean on Megan a lot. Sometimes she probably wants to kick me in the face to get it right. But it's my responsibility, and David Kavanaugh, my other guy, it's our responsibility for these burns. So we have to be there. we have, you know, we're on every single burn, one of us.
Okay.
You know, like I said, we're looking at them ahead of time, we're looking at them afterwards, so. We were, most weekends, the past weekend was an exception, but most weekends one of us is out and about looking at the sites for the coming week, because we know if we want to burn Monday, we have to look at it Sunday. And if we burn Friday, we're out here on Saturdays and Sundays looking at it, so we're pretty busy.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It doesn't really end. Like we're always thinking about it. We're always looking at the weather. Even yesterday, I'm like, okay, when are we going to have an opportunity with this rain? We knew the rain came, that could provide an opportunity for us to burn, but we also know the winds are coming. So it's just one of those balancing acts that is essentially never ending.
Huge responsibility.
I know for me, as land manager, I can't speak for the others, it's a constant conversation between the two. I know Friday, it was Friday, talking with David and already anticipating this week, maybe, well, next week's Christmas, but kind of anticipating what could be burned. Is it prepped? It's not what we wanted to burn this time of year, but it'll help with this, or because, you know, this side or the other. Is that okay with me? Because I can always say, no, we're gonna burn it in May and only May, and then it won't get burned at all this year, probably.
Yeah, and Megan, you know, if we're burning out here, Megan always has the authority to say we're not going to burn today, or we don't. You know, I don't think that we're not going to get ecological value from burning today. And we'll say okay, and you know, she has a final say on saying no. She can't make me burn it, but she can also tell me not to. But we have a good enough relationship and trust, I think, that, you know, she says, this is why I trust what she says. And in the one thing I didn't really mention is our two main purposes of burning are ecological restoration and maintenance. So we're trying to restore and maintain the ecosystem, and the other one is fire mitigation, to prevent us from having bigger fires out here. We know we're gonna get the lightning strikes out here. You know, if you spend any time out here at all, you'll see the trees that have been hit. And in most cases, they've been hit and not gone anywhere, because either it rained them out, or it was an area we just burned. So, you know, it's not preventing wildfires from happening, but it's really managing them and mitigating the threat to have them spread further. So those are really the two purposes we burn.
And how many properties are you responsible for?
Well, we typically burn on like 15 a year, give or take, but there's about 30 properties or 40 properties. So some of them we know we're never gonna put fire on just because of where they are. You know, Bayonne, if you're familiar with that, by what used to be Sarasota Square Mall, is a good example. It's, you know, you got 41, and then you have a nursing home right next to it, so you're kind of pinched in. There's no way you're gonna be able to burn there. But we still have to manage it for a fire, so we put fire breaks in, we do some vegetation stuff in there. So, you know, that's a lot of what I do is look at sites like that. Redbug Slough off Beneva is another example. Circus Hammock, Sleepy Turtles North.
Do you have a dedicated